scratch and turn this off. No matter if they're into metal or not into metal, if they're into progressive or not into progressive, it's just that type of CD where you can tap your foot and groove to it, but yet at the same time, it has enough complexity and layers to it to where someone who is, say, a progressive metal fan and who expects more, which we do, let's face it, can totally appreciate where they're coming from. So it's a band I think that you need to check out. They are available quite a bit on Bandcamp, which we haven't talked a whole lot about on this show, but their full-length CD is available on Spotify as well. And I think it's a band that if you're into... Now, Jason, you may recall quite a few episodes ago, we talked about Thornbridge.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was my perfect score.
Right. I know. And they actually, the whole way I kind of came across them by accident was, you know how on Spotify, it's like, well, if you like this band, you may dig this band.
Right.
Well, Thornbridge had Helium Prime. And I just, I'd been by them a couple times, and they kind of had this goofy cover on their CD, and I didn't pay much attention to it. And then for whatever reason, one day I just decided to listen to it. And man, am I glad I did. But I have to tell you, after listening to it, they were spot on. If you dig Thornbridge, this is Sacramento, California's answer to Thornbridge.
Wow. Interesting.
It's that good.
Dude, well then this may be one of the more exciting Triple Bs you ever talked about then, because
right.
Thornbridge kicks ass, man.
Right. So what we're going to play for you right now is a track called The Drake Equation.
All right, well, let's check it out, man. It's the first time I've heard it. I can't wait to hear it, because if there's anything on Thornbridge, I'm going to be excited. This is The Drake Equation from Helium Prime's album. Check it out.
So many questions wandered by your soul.
That was a Drake equation from Helion Prime. Dude. Wow. I'm definitely going to have to check out the rest of that album. Hopefully you liked it. I know I did. And typical Biv, it's Triple B time. He comes up with another killer album and a killer band to check out. And speaking of killer albums and killer bands, I'm sure you may be in a killer band that has a killer album, killer EP. Maybe you know of a killer band that has a killer album or killer EP. Either way, make sure you reach out to us. Let us check out your stuff. Send it to us. We'd love to hear it. Give us our honest critique and let you know what it is. And we've had a couple of bands send us their stuff. They were featured on Triple B because they rule. And we will continue to do the same thing. And Biv, of course, and Biv has, by the way, very, very tough standards. So if you make the cut of Triple B, that means you're pretty onto something as far as metal band is concerned. But if you're out there, if you're listening to the podcast and you have stuff that you want us to check out, whether it's just an album review or a band that you think that you're in that no one's heard of yet and needs to, send us your stuff. Just shoot us an email at accordingtometal@gmail.com. That is accordingtometal@gmail.com. And also like the According to Metal Facebook page. That may be another good way for you to be able to at least get a hold of us and send us your stuff. And again, send us your stuff. We'll check it out. And maybe you, yes, you, I'm talking to you, maybe the next Biv's Best Band we've never heard of.
Hello, this is Ben Colton from Neverworld, and you are listening to According to Metal! Thank you.
Come listen to the sound of change and lose your thought in willful reality. See darkness rising from the wasteland. Come the skies with endless night. Come listen to the sound of change and lose your thought in willful reality. Feel the magic of the band. Hear the packs of blood and light.
That was Packs of Blood and Might. That is Winterstorm's most recent album, Cube of Infinity, and Packs of Blood and Might actually is the first full song on the album, if you will. Of course, the album starts out with a kind of intro-ish, folk-sounding intro, interlude type of song before it gets into the heavy stuff. That's, of course, Packs of Blood and Might, one of the better songs on the album, but that would be saying that the rest of the album isn't as good, and I'm here to tell you, Winterstorm's recent album is really, really impressive, and this is a band that I've wanted to really get into for quite some time. There's a handful of albums they've come out with. Of course, Winterstorm's from Germany, and, you know, they have the branding of quote-unquote power metal, like a lot of German bands are. But I'm here to tell you, there's a definite mixture of a lot of different influences around the band. And what's funny about it to me is it's kind of a combination of folk metal and power metal, and it really depends on the track. So there really is no genre you can put them into. I mean, if you listen to like Packs of Blood and Might, like I said, I mean, a very big headbanger. Again, a huge, just a great mix in between the two of power and folk metal. I even hear some like tinges of like early Ensiferum on this one. You know, their first couple of albums, that kind of sound. But what's really cool is the singer Alexander has some clean but raspy vocals. And I don't want to say it's James Hetfield-ish, because that's not fair to say. But hopefully you get my point. It's not soaring power metal vocals like a typical power metal singer would be, but yet it's not growled either. It's kind of a clean raspy, if that makes any sense. And it's a very unusual sound for this kind of genre, because like I was saying, power metal is usually soaring. A lot of your folk metal stuff is either female fronted or, you know, a growled vocal type, and that's not this at all. Really, really well done, especially vocally, really stands out to me. But these guys absolutely wail. Lots of double bass, lots of great guitar licks. Just an absolute killer song to really start the album off. Other tracks, Secret and Lies, in many spots sounds very Iced Earth-ish. It kind of sounds like a, you know, Matt Barlow track from like, you know, Something This Way Comes, or something along that period of Iced Earth. You know, another track, Effects of Being. Another very folk-sounding song again. But what's interesting about Winterstorm is, you know, they have a track, maybe it's mid-tempo, it's rocking, it's good, and then all of a sudden, just like that, they switch into an entirely different type of song that's, kind of blistering fast. And again, if you're an Iced Earth fan, you know where I'm going with this. A lot of Iced Earth songs start out okay for the first couple of minutes, then all of a sudden, Schaefer gets into this galloping like crazy riff, and it's very similar to what you hear on a lot of Winterstorm songs, which is certainly cool with me. Other standout tracks, Cube of Infinity is a really solid song. Really good solo, by the way. And again, like I said, this is another great example of taking a track that's good and by the end making it kick-ass because of just them changing the entire song 3 or 4 minutes into it. A couple other highlights. Frozen Awakening is a good song. Sounds a lot of folkish. But then a lot of time changes on this one, goes from fast to slow to mid-tempo to fast, all within 6.5 minutes. And then Time Shift kind of rounds out the end of the album. Very power metal sounding. And whereas Hymns of Solitude actually sounds like another folk metal song, which my apologies, actually Time Shift is the second to last track, where Hymns of Solitude sounds, again, very folk metal-ish. So there is no particular genre to really put these guys in. Closes out the album very nicely on that track, and just a very, very solid album overall. Really, really impressed, and I'm almost upset that I didn't get into these guys sooner than just now. So that's my thoughts on Cube of Infinity, Winterstorm's newest one. Biv, what did you think about it?
Well, first of all, I'm shocked that I've never heard of these guys as much as I'm into German metal. And particularly being from, the Bavarian area of Germany, that's kind of the hotbed of what I listen to. So, it just, I guess, they were hiding in plain sight. I don't know. But to your point about their vocals, I agree with you. There definitely, they're definitely clean vocals, and raspy. I get more of a Zachary Stevens, modern day Circle to Circle or late Sabotage.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was just trying to kind of give the overall, thought of, okay, well, I get, what a James Hetfield would sound like. And I'm not saying that Alexander sounds anything like him, but that kind of idea, clean but raspy. It's not soaring, but it's not growled. It's kind of right in the pocket there.
Right. So, I mean, if you enjoy Circle to Circle today or the Sabotage of the mid-90s, I think this might be a good CD for you. Now, normally I cannot stand, and I haven't really gone on a big rant about it, although I thought about it. But I don't, the whole intro track thing has been overdone. Like every band in the fucking universe now thinks they have to have the obligatory, 90-second intro track that's there for no apparent reason. It used to mean something. It used to be something that happened on 1 out of every 20 CDs. Now it's like, oh, gotta have an intro track.
Yeah.
Well, this one actually has a purpose. And what I mean by that is it starts light and cheery, and then all of a sudden it goes into this dark and ominous, type feeling that just really sets the mood for the whole CD. I give him credit for that, actually using that opening track for a purpose. But to your point, Packs of Might and Blood, very good opening track with many variations from folk to prog to power, all in about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Expertly done.